Mac at the back posted 2:07.637 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? There are just over 305 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 305 minutes left in this practice session. Chris M has a best lap time of 27 to 50.924. Mac at the back posted a 2:01.493 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Chris M has a best lap time of 27 to 50.924. With just 303 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Chris M posted 1:54.114 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Mac at the back has a best lap time of 2:01.493. Chris M posted a 1:54.114 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Mac at the back is in T9 in this practice session and has a perf delta of -1.0. There are just over 300 minutes left in this practice session. It's a lovely day for racing here at Sonoma Raceway long circuit as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. With just 297 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Superman is on their practice out lap. Chris M posted 154.369 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? There are just over 295 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 295 minutes left in this practice session. It's a lovely day for racing here at Sonoma Raceway long circuit as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Chris M has a best lap time of 1:53.107. Lars is on their practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Sonoma Raceway long circuit as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Superman is on their first practice flying lap. Chris Ilduke posted a 2:55.227 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Superman is in T8. There are just over 290 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 290 minutes left in this practice session. Chris M is in T9 in this practice session and has a perf delta of 7.51. With just 289 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Superman has a best lap time of 1:54.398. Chris Duke posted 3:00.800 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Superman has a best lap time of 1:54.398. D-Max is on their practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Sonoma Raceway Long Circuit as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Superman posted a 1:58.946 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? There are just over 285 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 285 minutes left in this practice session. Wayne Pearson is on their practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Sonoma Raceway Long Circuit as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. With just 283 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Chris M has a best lap time of 1:53.107. Chris Ilduke posted 2:04.320 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Wayne Pearson is on their practice out lap. Hippie has a best lap time of 3:36.181. There are just over 280 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 280 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 280 minutes left in this practice session. Chris M posted a 1:53.998 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? With just 279 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. It's a lovely day for racing here at Sonoma Raceway Long Circuit as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Hippie has a best lap time of 3:36.181. Mac at the back posted 2:02.880 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Chris Ilduke is in T7 in this practice session and has a perf delta of -0.93. Hippie posted a 1:57.127 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? With just 276 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. There are just over 275 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 275 minutes left in this practice session. Richard Rossier has a best lap time of 2:24.753. Stefano Canonica posted 1:57.279 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Wayne Pearson is getting to grips with the Escort RS in this practice session. Mike O'Hagan has a best lap time of 1:54.322. Mr. Bang posted a 2:04.031 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? With just 272 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Chris M is in T3 in this practice session and has a perf delta of 0.16. Mack at the back posted 2:01.069 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Superman has a best lap time of 1:54.363. There are just over 270 minutes left in this practice session. Mr. Bang posted a 1:59.368 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? With just 269 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Wayne Pearson has a best lap time of 2:01.654. Puppy Dog from Hell posted 2:22.113 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Wayne Pearson is in T7 in this practice session and has a perf delta of -0.54. Puppy Dog from Hell has a best lap time of 5:30.845. With just 266 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Puppy Dog from Hell posted a 2:07.251 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? There are just over 265 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 265 minutes left in this practice session. Mac at the back posted 2:01.069 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Wayne Pearson is in T5 in this practice session and has a perf delta of -0.54. Superman has a best lap time of 1:52.932. With just 263 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Wayne Pearson posted at 2:05.959 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Chris M posted 1:53.335 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Richard Rossier has a best lap time of 1:56.993. Mac at the back has a best lap time of 2:01.069. There are just over 260 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 260 minutes left in this practice session. Puppy Dog from Hell is in T4 in this practice session and has a perf delta of 1.82. Richard Rossier posted a 1:55.236 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Mr. Bang posted 2:04.497 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? With just 258 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Wayne Pearson has a best lap time of 1:58.461. Mac at the back has a best lap time of 2:01.069. Superman posted a 1:55.562 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Puppy Dog from Hell is in T11 in this practice session and has a perf delta of -0.66. Serato is on their practice outlap. There are just over 255 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 255 minutes left in this practice session. Chris Ilduke posted 4:35.780 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? It's a lovely day for racing here at Sonoma Raceway Long Circuit as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. With just 253 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Lars has a best lap time of 1:57.311. Wayne Pearson posted a 2:00.109 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Chris Ilduke has a best lap time of 2:01.479. Wayne Pearson posted 3:02.661 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? With just 251 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Serato is on their practice out lap. There are just over 250 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 250 minutes left in this practice session. Get ready for some high-octane action, as the drivers take on the challenge of qualifying at Sonoma Raceway long circuit.
The pressure is on to set the fastest lap times, and the tension in the air is palpable.
This is where the mental game comes into play. Hippie is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run. The adrenaline is pumping. Mac at the back is on their outlap, warming up the tyres and getting ready to put in a fast lap time. Mr. Bang is on their outlap.
Patience is key in these early moments, Hal, but I have a feeling Mr. Bang is going to make it count.
It looks like Chris Duke is getting ready to make their move. They're taking their time to warm up those tyres and get everything just right.
This is the moment they've been preparing for. Let's see if they can execute.
It's all about strategy in these early moments. Superman is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run and get everything just right.
It's a delicate balance between taking it easy and pushing hard. Let's see how Superman handles it.
Looks like that's a mistake from Chris Duke. This could be costly. You can feel the tension building. Superman is out on track and getting ready to push for their qualifying time. There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. Oh dear, Superman has had an incident. There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. Looks like that's a mistake from Mr. Bang. This could be costly. It's all about precision and speed in qualifying, and Puppy Dog from Hell is nailing both. Oh dear, maybe today Satan has had an incident.
Whoops, maybe today Satan is going to be kicking themselves.
Wow, look at Puppy Dog from Hell go. They're really turning on the jets in this qualifying session. This is where the mental game comes into play. Lars is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run.
These are the moments that really matter. Let's see if Lars can deliver.
Hippie is on their first flying lap.
It's always impressive to see a driver in the zone like this, Hal. Let's see if they can maintain this pace.
It's clear that Lars is on a mission in this qualifying session. They're pushing their car to the limit.
Yes, they are. It takes a special kind of driver to thrive under this kind of pressure.
Looks like that's a mistake from Lars. This could be costly. This is what it's all about. Hippie is putting on a show for the fans in this qualifying session.
It's certainly exciting to watch, but let's not forget, the goal is to secure a good starting position for the race.
The pressure is on in this qualifying session, but maybe today Satan is rising to the occasion.
Let's see if they can put a good marker down.
Wow, look at Mac at the back go. They're really turning on the jets in this qualifying session. It's all about precision and speed in qualifying, and maybe today Satan is nailing both.
Absolutely. Maybe today Satan is showing the world what they're made of.
There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. Mr. Bang is on their first flying lap.
It's always impressive to see a driver in the zone like this, Hal. Let's see if they can maintain this pace.
Oh dear, Stefano Canonica has had an incident. Woohoo! Wayne Pearson is really turning up the heat out there. I'm getting goosebumps just watching them go.
Well, Rob, it seems like Wayne Pearson has got the need for speed and nothing is going to stop them now.
It's clear that Chris Il-Duke is on a mission in this qualifying session. They're pushing their car to the limit.
Yes, they are. It takes a special kind of driver to thrive under this kind of pressure.
I don't know about you, but I think Mac at the back might have a secret rocket booster hidden in their car. They're just that fast.
They'll need to put together a perfect lap, hitting every apex and pushing the car to the limit without going over it.
This is what it's all about. Lars is putting on a show for the fans in this qualifying session. Superman is in T9 and has a perf delta of minus 0.75. Looks like Chris M is channeling their inner Schumacher today. They're absolutely flying out there.
Is it just me, or does it feel like we're watching a superhero in action here?
Chris M is absolutely smashing it. Someone call the fire department, because Wayne Pearson is setting this track on fire with their performance. It's a solid first lap time from Lars, but they know they can do better. Hal, what do you think they need to do to improve?
Well, Rob, they'll need to find those extra tenths of a second by pushing just a little bit harder on the braking and carrying more speed through the corners.
This is it, Hal. Stefano Canonica is coming up to start another flying lap, and they're going to give it everything they've got.
It's amazing what a little bit of adrenaline and a lot of horsepower can do, right, Rob? Stefano Canonica is just showing us all what they're made of.
Cerato is on their outlap.
They will want to get a good gap established for their first flying lap.
Woohoo! Maybe today Satan is really turning up the heat out there. I'm getting goosebumps just watching them go.
That's right, it's all or nothing now. They need to stay focused, hit their marks, and extract every ounce of performance from that car to move up the grid.
I don't know about you, but I think Richard Rossia might have a secret rocket booster hidden in their car. They're just that fast. Maybe today Satan is not as quick as they were hoping for. They're going to need to dig deep and find some extra pace on this next one if they want to move up the grid.
Looks like maybe today Satan is really cooking with gas out there today.
Time to bring out the marshmallows and let's toast some fuel. Puppy Dog from Hell is in T4 and has a perf delta of -0.34.
I think we might need to start calling Puppy Dog from Hell the Flash after that incredible lap time. What do you think, Hal?
Looks like that's a mistake from Puppy Dog from Hell. This could be costly. Maybe today Satan has completed their first flying lap, but it wasn't as quick as they were hoping for. They're going to need to dig deep and find some extra pace on this next one if they want to move up the grid. I think I just saw a blur fly by. Oh wait, that's just maybe today Satan going at lightning speed.
Is it just me, or does it feel like we're watching a superhero in action here?
Maybe today Satan is absolutely smashing it. It's a very still day here at Sonoma Raceway Long Circuit as we're getting ready to kick things off. Starting from pole position is the perfect place for Superman to launch an attack.
But they can't let their guard down. The other drivers will be gunning for them.
Mike O'Hagan is placed in second.
Mike O'Hagan will be taking no prisoners today.
We see Hippie sitting in the third spot.
I think we are all looking forward to seeing what Hippie can do from here.
Taking off from the fourth grid slot is the skilled driver, Lars. Stefano Canonica is lining up fifth.
A strong grid position, and they'll be expecting a solid result today.
Richard Rossia will be looking to gain ground quickly as they start from sixth on the grid.
It's the standards tires for Richard Rosier.
Our seventh place starter, Wayne Pearson, is a driver who knows how to make up ground on the track.
Who knows, they could be the dark horse that steals the show.
Chris M is going to be starting from eighth. As the engines roar to life, Mr. Bang prepares to take off from the ninth position on the starting grid.
But sometimes the underdog can surprise you. Let's see what they've got in the tank.
Starting from the 10th position, Mac at the back will need to navigate through the field to challenge for the win. Puppy Dog from Hell may have a bit of work to do starting from 11th on the grid. Starting from 12th on the grid is a decent position for Chris Ilduke, all things considered. Maybe today Satan is in a solid position starting from 13th on the grid.
Where can maybe today Satan put that Escort?
Cerato has got their work cut out for them starting from 14th on the grid. The lights go out, and we are off to a flying start.
These first moments can set the tone for the rest of the race. It's all about keeping a clear head and making smart decisions.
Looks like Serrato is getting ready to mount a challenge here.
Slow in, fast out. It's critical to get on the power as early as possible, but too much too soon could spell disaster here.
This is going to be one hell of a race. I can already feel it.
The race isn't won in the first turn, but there have been plenty that have ended there, Rob.
Maybe today, Satan got confused and thought this was a leisurely Sunday drive, slipping down the order at the start. A great start to the race there from Puppy Dog from Hell. That's really gonna put the cat among the pigeons.
Yeah, great start. Now Puppy Dog from Hell just needs to keep it together and keep out of trouble.
Big gains for Puppy Dog from Hell as they move up the field, leaving maybe today Satan behind.
Go, go, go. That's what we want to see.
I can't wait to see how this race will play out.
All the drivers will be jostling for the best position, Rob. Some of them may not make it to the second lap in one piece.
He's pulling away. Mac at the back is increasing the gap to Puppy Dog from Hell. It looks like Puppy Dog from Hell needs to dig deep and find some courage to catch up. Will they be able to take the risk and push their car to the limit?
That's right, Rob. It's time for Puppy Dog from Hell to show us what they're made of. Will they be brave enough to go for it, or will they be content with just following in the footsteps of Mac at the back? Let's see who's got the guts to take the lead.
Some great driving from Mac at the back, who has increased their lead over Puppy Dog from Hell and is starting to put some distance between them.
It's clear that Mac at the back is dominating right now. They're making it very difficult for Puppy Dog from Hell to catch up.
He's pulling away. Mac at the back is increasing the gap to Puppy Dog from Hell. Excellent work from Mac at the back, who has managed to increase their lead over Puppy Dog from Hell. They seem to have found their rhythm and they are grooving to it.
Yes, it's clear that Mac at the back is in control out there. They're making it very difficult for Puppy Dog from Hell to catch up.
Puppy Dog from Hell is in there like a rat up a drain pipe. How Mac at the back is not going to be happy about that. Terrible news for Stefano Canonica, already losing places and the race is just only getting started.
This isn't the first time we've seen a driver start slow and then rally back. Let's see if Stefano Canonica can pull off a comeback.
A great pass for Stefano Canonica as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Meanwhile, Lars has lost ground.
Definitely, but there's still a long way to go in this race, and anything can happen. Stefano Canonica needs to keep driving with focus and intensity.
It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Stefano Canonica gaining places and Lars losing them. Serrato is tearing up the track, making up positions like they're going out of style. And Serrato has just won the place from Mr. Bang. Having started in P2, Mike O'Hagan will be looking to establish themselves early in this race.
I for one am really excited, Rob. The rivalry between Mike O'Hagan and Stefano Canonica has been building before the race, and this is where scores are settled.
The best laid plans of mice and men are hell, but it's certainly not going to plan for Mike O'Hagan right now as they are struggling to keep up with Stefano Canonica. Mike O'Hagan is hounding Stefano Canonica and is really piling on the pressure. Serrato must have taken a page out of a superhero's book, because they've just shot off like the Flash.
Now they just need to maintain that speed and focus. You know what they say, the early bird gets the worm, but let's hope Serrato doesn't get too cocky just yet.
It's not going to plan for Serrato. They are still behind Richard Rossia and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now. It looks like Stefano Canonica was channeling a sloth at the start, losing places as they crawled off the line. An impressive showing from Stefano Canonica, who has gained positions and left Mike O'Hagan in the dust. During your racing career, Hal, did you have any specific techniques to regain concentration if you felt it slipping?
Yes, Rob, I had a few techniques. One was to take a couple of deep breaths and briefly reset my focus. Another was to use a specific keyword or phrase as a mental trigger to refocus my mind on the task at hand.
Mike O'Hagan seems to be putting the pressure on Stefano Canonica. It seems like Mike O'Hagan is piling on the pressure as they come through T3A. Coming into T4, the fight for fifth is heating up. Who will be the first to blink?
A misjudgment by either driver could result in a close encounter of the tire barrier kind, and that's one handshake they'll want to avoid.
The gap between Wayne Pearson and Chris M is widening. It's now up to 1.1 seconds. The action is heating up here as Mike O'Hagan is in second, defending from Lars, who is only 0.7 seconds away. Impressive stuff from Mike O'Hagan, who has managed to pull away from Lars, leaving them choking in their exhaust fumes. It's not looking good for Chris M. They are still behind Stefano Canonica and the gap is increasing. They are going to need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around. The adrenaline is pumping as Mack at the back gets within striking distance of Serrato in their race for ninth.
Should things go south between Mack at the back and Serrato, we might witness a high-speed game of bumper cars, but trust me, it's way less fun with real race cars.
Big gains for Mack at the back as they move up the field, leaving Serrato behind.
Yes, but they have to keep pushing hard. This race is far from over, and anything can happen. Mack at the back needs to stay focused and keep driving with skill and determination.
Whoa. Stefano Canonica is coming in hot. I don't know if it's the red mist or if they have just missed their braking point. There's nothing in it as they come through T1 with Stefano Canonica pushing that forward to the limits.
It's all in the exit speed. Both drivers will be looking to brake as late into the turn as possible, but this is where it's easy to overcook it and lose valuable time.
Looks like Stefano Canonica is getting ready to mount a challenge here. It's a brilliant day for racing, and the drivers are putting on a show.
Absolutely. What a great race we are witnessing today. These drivers are giving it their all, and it's a thrill to watch them compete at this level.
They're really pushing themselves and their machines to the limit, and it's paying off with some incredible driving.
It's a pleasure to be here today, Rob. You really can't beat the excitement of a good race, especially one as competitive as this.
Superman is placed first at the moment. They are hoping to keep their distance ahead of Mike O'Hagan, who is 3.9 seconds behind.
That's right. And Mike O'Hagan knows that they have to keep pushing hard and driving their own race. They can't let Superman off the hook.
We're starting to see who really has the pace now in this race, as Richard Rossier is starting to climb all over the back of maybe today's Satan. Any closer and they may need to pop the boot.
It's an intense race between these two drivers, and Richard Rossier is going to have to try something here.
It's a battle of wills out there. Each driver trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other. A great pass for Serrato as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Meanwhile, Mack at the back has lost ground.
Absolutely. Serrato is showing great pace and determination, but they can't get too confident. There are still plenty of challenges ahead.
Stefano Canonica wants to close that gap with maybe today's Satan.
Do they have the speed for a move? And more importantly, do they have the talent?
The drivers are getting faster as they settle into their cars and get used to the conditions, with Stefano Canonica just putting in their best lap so far with a 1:58.832. Mr. Bang wants to find a way round Mack at the back. Mr. Bang is hounding Mack at the back and is really piling on the pressure. Mr. Bang is in the flow, putting in their best lap so far. It's a thrilling pursuit as Mack at the back is right behind Mr. Bang, keeping the pressure on for ninth place. Mack at the back is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Mr. Bang at the moment. While Superman is not under immediate threat from Mike O'Hagan, they still need to stay focused and avoid any errors. Any slip-up could cost them their position.
Absolutely. And on the other side of the equation, Mike O'Hagan can't afford to let up. They have to drive with intensity and focus and wait for any opportunity to arise.
Stefano Canonica has the pedal to the metal, chasing Mack at the back.
There is no room for error in this battle.
Stefano Canonica needs to get more confident. Hal, they have just put in a slower lap than Mack at the back.
Can Stefano Canonica turn this around?
It looks like Mack at the back is pulling away from Stefano Canonica. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through T6.
This is where the mental toughness of Stefano Canonica comes into play. They need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when things aren't going their way.
It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Stefano Canonica gaining places and Mack at the back losing them.
Where there's a will, there's a relative.
It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while. It seems like Chris M is piling on the pressure as they come through T11.
To achieve anything in this game, you have to be prepared to dabble in disaster.
A top lap time there from Chris M, setting their fastest lap of the session so far. The fans are on the edge of their seats. It doesn't get any closer than this.
If Stefano Canonica pushes too hard, they might find themselves exploring the scenic route, and nobody's got time for sightseeing during a race.
And Stefano Canonica has just won the place from Puppy Dog from Hell.
Go, 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 that's what we want to see.
This is what it's all about, folks. Mr. Bang is in hot pursuit of maybe today's Satan, who's just trying to stay ahead. The best laid plans of mice and men, ha ha, but it's certainly not going to plan for Mr. Bang right now as they are struggling to keep up with maybe today's Satan. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race, they've been looking at a decent result.
Mack at the back has just managed to set their fastest lap of the race so far with a lap time of 2:01.547. Heartbreak for Mack at the back as they slip down the field.
That's got to be frustrating, but Mack at the back is a skilled driver, and they have what it takes to battle their way back up the field.
The pursuit is on. Chris M is closing the gap on Lars, determined to claim P3. Stefano Canonica is holding 7th, but Puppy Dog from Hell is right on their tail. The crowd is on its feet as Chris M chases down Lars through T10.
You know what they say, keep your friends close and your racing rivals even closer. Looks like Chris M is taking that advice to heart today.
Chris M could be on a charge here. How they have just put in a quicker lap than Lars.
As long as Chris M can maintain that consistency and pace, it will be interesting to see.
It's a close race between Mike O'Hagan and Superman in first.
This battle between Mike O'Hagan and Superman is so intense, you could cut the tension with a knife, or should I say, with a front wing.
It's a game of inches now as Lars tails Chris M closely, ready to capitalize on any mistake.
The only thing closer than Lars to Chris M right now is the paint on their cars. Talk about a close encounter.
Things are heating up as Mike O'Hagan closes in on Superman. The gap between them is down to practically nothing.
Mike O'Hagan is so close to Superman that if this were a dance floor, they'd be doing the tango.
It looks like Chris M is in control. They're ahead of Lars by over a second, and it doesn't look like they're going to be challenged anytime soon. Things are starting to get tense as Lars manages to close the gap to Chris M. It's now down to 0.6 seconds. Looks like we might have a great battle starting here between Wayne Pearson in 5th and Richard Rossier. It's being tense with a gap of only 0.6 seconds.
It's not over yet. Richard Rossier is right on Wayne Pearson's tail, and if they can find just a little bit of extra speed, they might be able to make a move.
Impressive driving from Wayne Pearson, who has managed to extend their lead over Richard Rossier. They are walking away at this point. Does Richard Rossier have anything in reserve? Or are they saving their car for a final push?
Well, Rob, it's like they say, slow and steady wins the race. But in this case, it seems like slow and steady might just be too slow. Will Richard Rossier be able to find that extra gear and catch up to Wayne Pearson, or will they end up saving their car for nothing and run out of gas at the finish line?
The gap between Serrato and Puppy Dog from Hell is not insurmountable, but it's going to take a mistake from Serrato to bring Puppy Dog from Hell into play. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Mike O'Hagan is chasing Superman in P1.
With just 0.4 seconds between them, will Mike O'Hagan be able to keep up the pace and make a pass?
It's game on now. Mike O'Hagan has closed the gap to Superman. It's now down to 0.2 seconds.
This is where the race gets really exciting. Both drivers will be pushing to the limit to gain the advantage.
Hal, can you share some strategies that drivers use to manage tire degradation during a race?
Certainly, Rob. Some strategies include adjusting the car's setup for better tire life, altering driving lines to reduce wear, and using tire management techniques like lift and coast to preserve grip for as long as possible.
I'm sure Superman in first is starting to notice Mike O'Hagan is right on their tail and is still closing that gap. Can they hold on to their position?
Absolutely, Superman in first is doing a fantastic job of holding on to their lead, but they can't afford to make a single mistake. And Mike O'Hagan is looking for any opportunity to make a move. This could be a battle to the finish line.
It's going to be tough. Wayne Pearson is a master at defending their position. Is there enough time for Richard Rossier to make a move? They're going to be even more determined to hold on to that position.
Wayne Pearson is doing a great job of defending in the lead, and Richard Rossier is pushing hard to close the gap. It's an exciting race and it's not over yet.
The gap between Serrato and Puppy Dog from Hell may be wide, but that doesn't mean Serrato is safe. They have to keep their concentration and avoid any lapses in performance.
You're spot on. And Puppy Dog from Hell knows that they can't rely on Serrato making an error. They have to keep driving with skill and determination and be ready to seize any opportunity that comes their way.
A commanding performance from Serrato, who has increased their lead over Puppy Dog from Hell, putting them firmly in their rearview mirrors. But could they be pushing too hard? As with that comes the risk of overconfidence and losing control. Who will be the first to get too cocky and end up in the wall?
That's exactly what Serrato needed to do.
That won't be ideal for Hippie. He can't hold on. Hippie is losing time to maybe today's Satan. Oh, it seems Hal that Hippie has seen their lead over maybe today Satan shrink to 2.0 seconds. Oh, this is getting intense. Mike O'Hagan is just behind Superman. There's nothing in it as they come through T6 with Mike O'Hagan pushing that forward to the limits.
Slow in, fast out. It's critical to get on the power as early as possible, but too much too soon could spell disaster here.
It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Lars as they have a big gap ahead of them to close at this point in time.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Lars is going to have to get more serious with practice if they don't want to be outclassed on the circuit.
Mike O'Hagan could be looking for a way up the inside of Superman. It seems like Mike O'Hagan is struggling. They are not able to maintain their pace. Well, it doesn't look like Stefano Canonica is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Richard Rossier. The gap between Stefano Canonica and Richard Rossier is growing. It's now up to 11.3 seconds. Good news for Stefano Canonica, the gap to Richard Rossier has decreased. It's now down to 6.9 seconds. It may seem like maybe today Satan is far behind, but Hippie can't afford to let their guard down. One mistake could give maybe today Satan an opening to catch up. He's pulling away. Hippie is increasing the gap to maybe today Satan. It looks like maybe today Satan needs to dig deep and find some courage to catch up. Will they be able to take the risk and push their car to the limit?
That's right, Rob. It's time for maybe today Satan to show us what they're made of. Will they be brave enough to go for it, or will they be content with just following in the footsteps of Hippie? Let's see who's got the guts to take the lead.
No room for error here. Mike O'Hagan is breathing down the neck of Superman, waiting for the perfect chance to make their move. It's looking good for Mike O'Hagan, who has gained places and put some distance between themselves and Superman.
Definitely, but there's still a long way to go in this race, and anything can happen. Mike O'Hagan needs to keep driving with focus and intensity.
Superman wants to get into Mike O'Hagan's slipstream.
If you're enjoying the racing, please remember to like and subscribe.
Superman is not able to keep their pace consistent. So far they are 1.17 seconds down.
Can Superman refocus and start putting in the lap times we know they are capable of?
It's not going to plan for Superman. They are still behind Mike O'Hagan and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now. Even though maybe today Satan is a fair way behind Mr. Bang, they can't afford to let their guard down. Mr. Bang is still vulnerable to mistakes.
Surely they've got enough in the tank to pull away. Gonna be interesting to watch this battle unfold.
Excellent work from Mr. Bang, who has managed to increase their lead over maybe today's Satan. They seem to have found their rhythm and they are grooving to it. But with every smooth turn comes the risk of wrecking their car. Who will be the first to push it too far and crash out of the race?
That's right, Rob. These drivers are like musicians, finding their groove and playing their instruments to perfection. But just like in music, even the best players can hit a wrong note. Let's hope none of these drivers make any mistakes and end up singing the blues. That's a really strong performance from Mr. Bang. They're not giving maybe today's Satan any chances to catch up.
While Serato is not under immediate threat from Puppy Dog from Hell, they still need to stay focused and avoid any errors. Any slip-up could cost them their position.
Absolutely right, Rob, and Puppy Dog from Hell knows that too. They have to keep driving at their best if they want to take advantage of any opportunity that comes their way.
Things are heating up as Superman tries to close the gap to Mike O'Hagan.
One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Superman needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
It's starting to look like we might get a battle between Superman and Mike O'Hagan.
This is where the pressure really starts to build. Both drivers will need to stay calm and focused if they want to come out on top.
This is going to be a nail-biter. Mike O'Hagan is defending for their life, but Superman is right there. Can they do it?
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Superman to make up that gap, especially with Mike O'Hagan defending so well.
A commanding performance from Mike O'Hagan, who has increased their lead over Superman, putting them firmly in their rear-view mirrors. Impressive driving from Mike O'Hagan, who has managed to extend their lead over Superman. They are walking away at this point. Does Superman have anything in reserve?
You said it, Rob. With great power comes great responsibility. But sometimes these drivers forget that and let their egos take the wheel. Let's hope they keep their eyes on the road and not on their own reflections in the mirror.
Wayne Pearson is placed 5th at the moment. They are hoping to keep their distance ahead of Richard Rossier, who is 3.1 seconds behind. The gap between Wayne Pearson and Richard Rossier is getting smaller. It's now down to 2.7 seconds. The gap between Serato and Puppy Dog from Hell may be wide, but that doesn't mean Serato is safe. They have to keep their concentration and avoid any lapses in performance. Looking at the lap times, Serato is not on pace with Puppy Dog from Hell. Can they turn it around? Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed.
The gap is 1.2 seconds now. Puppy Dog from Hell is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with Hippie.
It's not looking good for Puppy Dog from Hell. They are still behind Hippie and the gap is increasing. They are gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
It's not over yet, but Puppy Dog from Hell needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to Hippie.
The gap between Mike O'Hagan and Superman is not insurmountable, but it's going to take a mistake from Mike O'Hagan to bring Superman into play. A strong showing from Lars, who is currently 4th.
That's right. They can't afford to make any mistakes or let up in their performance. Every point counts in this championship.
Lars is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Chris M at the moment.
This is a frustrating situation for Lars, but they can't give up just yet. They need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from Chris M.
As we come into the final moments of this epic race, Mike O'Hagan is in the lead. Can they stay calm and bring home the bacon?
They'll be the ones celebrating at the finish line.
The leader has just finished the race. A fantastic result for Mike O'Hagan.
What a display of skill and precision.
What a fantastic race from Superman, who brings it home in 2nd place. Impressive drive from Chris M to claim the final spot on the podium.
Impressive driving to secure that spot.
Lars and Mac at the back end in 4th and 14th. Fifth is Wayne Pearson, with Richard Rossier in 6th. Coming in 7th, we have Stefano Canonica. Eighth sees Hippie. Finishing 9th is Serrato. Puppy Dog from Hell take 10th. There's a little bit of wind in the air today here at Sonoma Raceway Long Circuit as we're getting ready to get things underway.
The tension's building now. This is going to be another great race.
Starting from pole position is a dream come true for Puppy Dog from Hell.
But they can't let that advantage go to waste. They will need to stay focused and keep their eyes on the prize.
Our second place starter, Serrato, is poised to make a move towards the front. Our third place starter for today's race is none other than Hippie. The fourth position is occupied by Stefano Canonica. And in fifth place, we have Richard Rossier.
Richard Rosier will be expecting to bring home solid points.
From the middle of the pack, we have Wayne Pearson in sixth place on the starting grid. Lars is 7th.
Lars is going to show us something special, I'm sure of it.
Chris M has qualified 8th. Sitting in 9th is Superman.
They'll be looking for a clean race.
In the middle of the pack, we have Mike O'Hagan starting from the 10th position on the grid. Maybe today Satan has some work to do from 11th on the grid, but they're not out of the race yet. Mr. Bang will need to be on top of their game starting from 12th on the grid.
Are the standards tires the way to go?
Starting from 13th on the grid is not ideal for Chris Ilduke, but they're a fighter.
We've seen great results from here. What has Chris Ilduke got in store for us?
Starting from 14th on the grid is a bit of a mixed bag for Mac at the back.
Where can Mac at the back finish today?
And they're off, with drivers now facing the unpredictability of the opening lap. With so many cars close together, the risk of an early accident is real.
The drivers will need to be aggressive but also patient. They can't afford to make any mistakes if they want to stay in the running for a podium finish.
It's a delicate balance, Hal, but the best drivers know how to find that balance and make it work to their advantage.
It's going to be an exciting first sector. I can't wait to see how this all plays out.
There has been an issue. Puppy Dog from Hell is off the pace. They say the early bird catches the worm, and Lars is proving it today, snatching up positions right from the get-go.
It's early days yet, but if they can consolidate their move, then it puts them in a strong position for the race.
Chris M has nailed the start, gaining places early on. They should be pleased with that.
They say fortune favors the bold, and Chris M is certainly proving that with this explosive start.
Seems like Hippie is getting in range of Lars. Looks like Hippie is getting ready to mount a challenge here.
It's all in the exit speed. Both drivers will be looking to brake as late into the turn as possible. But this is where it's easy to overcook it and lose valuable time.
Big gains for Hippie as they move up the field, leaving Lars behind. Lars seems to be putting the pressure on Chris M. Lars is hounding Chris M and is really piling on the pressure.
This is shaping up to be a great battle. I have my popcorn at the ready.
The stewards will be hoping that there aren't too many incidents for them to pick over when the dust settles on this one.
Like gladiators, they enter Rob. But instead of lions and swords, our champions fight in an arena of tarmac, and with fire-breathing machines of cutting-edge materials, designed to explore the very limits of physics itself in what can sometimes be very much a fight to the death.
An impressive showing from Chris M, who has gained positions and left Richard Rossier in the dust. It's like Serrato started with a flat tire, slipping down the order right from the get-go. It's been a solid race so far for Serrato. They're holding their position and keeping a steady pace. We got a close battle as Superman closes in on Wayne Pearson.
If Superman isn't careful, they might end up turning this high-speed chase into a synchronized spinning routine, and trust me, that's not a crowd pleaser.
It seems like Superman is piling on the pressure as they come through T4.
To achieve anything in this game, you have to be prepared to dabble in disaster.
Lars wants to close that gap with Mike O'Hagan. The gap between Lars and Mike O'Hagan is widening. It's now up to 0.4 seconds. Chris M wants to find a way round Hippie.
They need to keep it on the black stuff. You don't get points for driving over weeds, not in this game.
There's not much to report on from Chris M at the moment. They're just keeping their head down and putting in consistent laps. It's a steady race for Chris M so far. They seem to be keeping their head down, and they are maintaining their focus.
Consistency is key in racing. Chris M just needs to keep doing what they're doing and wait for opportunities to present themselves.
This is what high-octane racing looks like. Mike O'Hagan is breathing down the neck of Richard Rossier, not giving them any room to relax. It looks like Chris M is all over Hippie. I think they are going to press him through T11 and try and press for a mistake.
For sure, Rob, that's exactly what I would be doing here, as Hippie is going to be aware of them riding their bumper. I might have said this before, but dogbone, you know the rest.
As Richard Rossier and Mike O'Hagan come though T2, they are practically on top of one another.
Slow and fast out. It's critical to get on the power as early as possible, but too much too soon could spell disaster here.
This is where legends are made. Which driver will rise to the occasion and claim victory? Looks like Chris M is getting ready to mount a challenge here.
It's all in the exit speed. Both drivers will be looking to brake as late into the turn as possible, but this is where it's easy to overcook it and lose valuable time.
The gap between Lars and Chris M is razor thin as they vie for fourth in this nail-biting contest.
The chase between Lars and Chris M is like a high-speed game of tag only. The stakes are much higher.
Hold on to your hats, folks. Serrato is right on the heels of Mack at the back, and we're in for a wild ride. Great effort from Serrato. Their last lap was the best we have seen from them.
Can Serrato keep improving?
The action is non-stop as Hippie shadows Richard Rossier through every twist and turn, determined to claim second. Hippie is hounding Richard Rossier and is really piling on the pressure. The drivers are getting faster as they settle into their cars and get used to the conditions, with Hippie just putting in their best lap so far with a 1:57.814.
The more laps they do, the faster these guys get. This should make for some great racing, Rob.
It seems like Hippie is piling on the pressure as they come through T11. Richard Rossier has a battle on their hands now as they come through T11 with Chris M hot on their tail.
It's an intense battle between two skilled drivers, and Richard Rossier in third is doing everything they can to keep Chris M behind them. The slightest mistake could cost them the position, so they need to stay focused and stay on their game.
It's true what they say, Hal, you're never completely useless.
Indeed, Rob, you can always be used as a bad example. Indeed, they've been trying so hard to hold their position, but the other drivers are just too strong. Meanwhile, Chris M is showing some great pace.
Coming into T3A, the fight for second is heating up. Who will be the first to blink? As Chris M and Hippie come though T4, they are practically on top of one another. It seems like Chris M is on fire. They have just put in their best lap.
They are certainly in the flow, but they may have to improve further if they want to hold on to third.
Even though Hippie is a fair way behind Mike O'Hagan, they can't afford to let their guard down. Mike O'Hagan is still vulnerable to mistakes. Mike O'Hagan is in the flow, putting in their best lap so far. Hippie wants to get into Chris M's slipstream.
Can they make it past without taking the paint off?
Looks like Hippie is getting ready to mount a challenge here. Seems like Superman is getting in range of Richard Rossier. It seems like Superman has got the bit between their teeth, improving on Richard Rossier's lap time there.
We will have to see if Richard Rosier has got any answers for that.
Superman is hounding Richard Rossier and is really piling on the pressure. What do you think, Hal? Are there any specific factors that could lead to a driver losing concentration during a race?
There are several factors, Rob. Fatigue, stress, changing track conditions, or even issues within the team can all contribute to a lapse in concentration. It's essential for drivers to stay mentally resilient and adapt to these challenges.
Oh dear, looks like Stefano Canonica has had an incident.
Sonoma Raceway long circuit is always a test for these drivers, and sometimes that's the way it goes.
The best laid plans of mice and men, Hal, but it's certainly not going to plan for Stefano Canonica right now, as they are struggling to keep up with Wayne Pearson.
Stefano Canonica needs to focus and keep pushing, even when things aren't going their way. If they can close the gap down, they may be able to bring the fight to Wayne Pearson.
Superman is giving it their all as they chase down Hippie in P3. The gap between Superman and Hippie is getting smaller.
They'll be looking for a mistake to pounce on.
Superman has just put in a faster lap than Hippie, so that's going to give them something to worry about.
The question is now, can Hippie respond to that in kind? They are going to have to pick up the pace.
While Chris M is not under immediate threat from Hippie, they still need to stay focused and avoid any errors. Any slip-up could cost them their position.
That's very true, and Hippie knows that as well. They have to drive their own race and wait for Chris M to make a mistake if they want to have any chance of overtaking.
It may seem like Mr. Bang is far behind, but Stefano Canonica can't afford to let their guard down. One mistake could give Mr. Bang an opening to catch up.
Absolutely, and on the other side of the equation, Mr. Bang can't afford to let up. They have to drive with intensity and focus, and wait for any opportunity to arise.
Hippie could be looking for a way up the inside of Richard Rossier.
To achieve anything in this game, you must be prepared to dabble in the boundary of disaster.
The gap between Hippie and Richard Rossier is growing. It's now up to 0.4 seconds. It's not going to plan for Hippie. They are still behind Richard Rossier and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
This is a tough situation for Hippie. They need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap. Did you know, Rob, the first motor race is generally considered to have taken place on July 22, 1894, in France, between the cities of Paris and Rouen. The race was organized by the French newspaper Le Petit Journal and was open to vehicles powered by either steam, gasoline, or electricity. The race covered a distance of 126 kilometers or 78 miles and was won by the Comte Jules Albert de Dion driving a steam-powered vehicle. This event marked the beginning of the modern era of motor racing.
And things have come a long way since then, Hal. The race is heating up as Mac at the back in 14th closes in on maybe today's Satan. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they're going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight.
It's moments like these that make motorsports so exciting. We're witnessing a battle of skill and strategy between two great drivers, with Mac at the back in 14th determined to catch up. But we know maybe today, Satan isn't just going to hand it to them on a plate. Mac at the back is going to have to take it. It should be an interesting battle to watch as long as they can close that gap.
Things don't seem to be going Richard Rossier's way in this race, as that's a big gap they'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here. Mr. Bang is placed 9th at the moment. They are hoping to keep their distance ahead of Chris Ilduke, who is 2.5 seconds behind. A top lap time there from Mr. Bang, setting their fastest lap of the session so far.
Things are hotting up now, Rob, and it'll be interesting to see if they can improve further on that time.
Look at that, Hippie is hot on the tail of Richard Rossia.
The gap between them is just over 0.9 seconds. Who will have the speed and skill to come out on top?
Hippie is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Richard Rossia to 0.8 seconds.
Exactly what Hippie needed. They can't afford to lose any more ground to Richard Rosier.
It's not looking good for Hippie. They are still behind Richard Rossia and the gap is increasing. They are gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
Can they get it together and reduce the gap?
This is getting exciting. Can Mack at the back pull off a late charge and gain a position?
That's right. Maybe today Satan is showing some great form, and it looks like Mack at the back won't be able to catch up, barring any mistakes.
It looks like Mack at the back is starting to catch up to maybe today's Satan. The gap is now down to 1.0 seconds. The gap between Mike O'Hagan and Chris M is not insurmountable, but it's going to take a mistake from Mike O'Hagan to bring Chris M into play. He's pulling away. Mike O'Hagan is increasing the gap to Chris M. Excellent work from Mike O'Hagan, who has managed to increase their lead over Chris M. They seem to have found their rhythm and they are grooving to it.
It's really looking like Mike O'Hagan is going to be tough to pass today. They're driving with real confidence and authority.
The gap between Wayne Pearson and Lars is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Wayne Pearson to even allow Lars to get a look in.
They certainly aren't going to be close enough to mount any kind of challenge soon, unless it's down to a mistake from Wayne Pearson.
It's all eyes on this battle as Chris Ilduke in 10th tries to hold off the challenge of Serrato. This is not looking good for Chris Ilduke. They've just lost 10th to Serrata and their strategy seems to be failing them.
That's right. They've got to stay focused and not let this setback affect their mindset. Meanwhile, Serrato is showing some incredible skill and determination and is now a serious threat to the other drivers on the track.
Chris Ilduke has been served a big slice of eat my dust by Serrata. Hope they got their eating pants on.
They've been focusing so hard on maintaining their position and now they've slipped back in the field. Meanwhile, Serrato has been making some great moves and is now on the charge.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Hippie is closing in on Richard Rossia. It's game on now. Hippie has closed the gap to Richard Rossia. It's now down to 0.8 seconds. It looks like Hippie is making a move. The gap to Richard Rossia is now down to 0.4 seconds.
This is what racing is all about. It's anyone's game at this point. Who will come out on top?
A great pass for Hippie as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Meanwhile, Richard Rossia has lost ground. We've got an edge-of-your-seat battle between Lars in 6th and Wayne Pearson in 7th, with just 0.3 seconds between them. Even though Hippie is a fair way behind Superman, they can't afford to let their guard down. Superman is still vulnerable to mistakes. Impressive stuff from Superman, who has managed to pull away from Hippie, leaving them choking in their exhaust fumes. Stefano Canonica has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Wayne Pearson. I expect their only hope at this point is that Wayne Pearson makes an error.
Anything can happen yet, and it usually does. I've certainly seen drivers come back from worse.
Good news for Stefano Canonica. The gap to Wayne Pearson has decreased. It's now down to 3.6 seconds.
This is where the race gets really exciting. Both drivers will be pushing to the limit to gain the advantage.
The gap between Stefano Canonica and Wayne Pearson is getting smaller. This is a thrilling battle as Richard Rossia edges closer to Hippie in their fight for P4. It's starting to look like we might get a battle between Richard Rossia and Hippie. It's game on now. Richard Rossia has closed the gap to Hippie. It's now down to 0.5 seconds. The gap between Wayne Pearson and Stefano Canonica may be wide, but that doesn't mean Wayne Pearson is safe. They have to keep their concentration and avoid any lapses in performance.
That's right, and Stefano Canonica knows that they have to keep pushing hard and driving their own race. They can't let Wayne Pearson off the hook.
The intensity is off the charts as Richard Rossia hounds Hippie, both drivers pushing themselves to the absolute limit.
That's right, Rob. The pressure is palpable. The fans are on the edge of their seats waiting to see who will come out on top in this epic showdown.
Well, it doesn't look like Superman is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Chris M.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Superman is going to have to get more serious with practice if they don't want to be outclassed on the circuit.
Wayne Pearson is holding 7th, but Stefano Canonico is right on their tail. Oh no, Hal, look at this. Stefano Canonico is closing in on Wayne Pearson. The gap is now just 0.7 seconds. Oh, this is getting intense. Serrato is just a few car lengths behind Mr. Bang.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Serrato is really walking that tightrope.
Serrato is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Mr. Bang at the moment. Serrato appears to be losing ground on Mr. Bang. They will need to pick up the pace a bit as they head into T7 and see if they can get a good exit and gain some ground. Looks like Stefano Canonico is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curbs aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control. Who will be able to maintain their pace and come out on top?
It looks like Stefano Canonico is making a move. The gap to Wayne Pearson is now down to 0.4 seconds. Good news for Stefano Canonico. The gap to Wayne Pearson has decreased. It's now down to 0.1 seconds. It may seem like Chris M is far behind, but Mike O'Hagan can't afford to let their guard down. One mistake could give Chris M an opening to catch up.
Surely they've got enough in the tank to pull away. Gonna be interesting to watch this battle unfold.
It's an intense battle for position as Serrato tries to outmaneuver Mr. Bang. This is edge-of-your-seat racing. It seems like Serrato is piling on the pressure as they come through T3. It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Serrato gaining places and Mr. Bang losing them.
Absolutely wrong, but there's still a long way to go in this race, and Serrato can't afford to get complacent. They have to keep driving with intensity and focus.
It's a tight race with Richard Rossier in 5th, just managing to stay ahead of Lars in 6th by a margin of 0.1 seconds.
Absolutely, Richard Rossier is really making that car as wide as possible, not giving Lars an inch of space. It's going to take something special for Lars to get past him.
While Serrato is not under immediate threat from Mr. Bang, they still need to stay focused and avoid any errors. Any slip-up could cost them their position.
Absolutely right, Rob, and Mr. Bang knows that too. They have to keep driving at their best if they want to take advantage of any opportunity that comes their way.
We've certainly seen some of the drivers get it wrong today.
Anyone lost can just follow the trail of skid marks. I hear it's the latest form of GPS navigation.
Let's hope the other drivers don't follow suit. We might end up with a bumper car race instead of a high-speed competition.
At least we'd have something to fall back on. If we ever get bored of regular racing, bumper cars might be the next big thing.
Richard Rossier is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. That's where experience and skill come into play.
Things are going according to plan for Mike O'Hagan, who is currently first. A commanding performance from Mike O'Hagan, who has increased their lead over Chris M, putting them firmly in their rearview mirrors. But could they be pushing too hard? As with that comes the risk of overconfidence and losing control. Who will be the first to get too cocky and end up in the wall? Superman is placed 3rd at the moment. It seems like Superman is struggling. They are not able to maintain their pace. The gap between Lars and Richard Rossier is not insurmountable, but it's going to take a mistake from Lars to bring Richard Rossier into play. It's like Mike O'Hagan has saved all their energy for this final stretch. The leader has done it. What an incredible performance from Mike O'Hagan, who was simply untouchable today. This is a race that will go down in the history books.
You could feel the tension building throughout the race, but Mike O'Hagan remained focused and in control. That's what separates the winners from the pack.
A nail-biting finish, but Chris M claims 2nd place.
Brilliant. Chris M showed great skill and determination to take 2nd place.
That was an outstanding performance from Superman. They fought hard and took the final spot on the podium. Followed by Hippie in 4th. Lars in 5th. Taking 6th is Richard Rossier. Stefano Canonica brings home 7th. 8th is Wayne Pearson. Serrato claimed 9th. In 10th, it's Mr. Bang. Finishing 11th is Chris_ill_Duke. Puppy Dog from Hell take 12th.